Here with the common morning corrections to a game that I screw up or whatever. Someone pointed out one thing that I got wrong, which so far that ain't bad for me. The Bay of Biscay special, the Bay of Biscay table that happened when I ran through here, the transit boxes with Bay of Biscay in parentheses. Well, that parentheses should have been a hint to me. There is actually a rule on the Bay of Biscay. There's no, little mark anywhere to jump me into that role. Do you expect everything? Well, in such a chart-based game, yeah, I actually do expect things to push me into the rules because I'm less likely to actually read the rules fully and absorb them well. Not that I'm great at that anyway. But that doesn't start until July 40, and the idea there, of course, is you're no longer leaving Germany itself. You're launching from France, so the transit is a different path, and this is, I guess, cheaper? I don't know. I like this one better. What the hell? Yeah, I'm not sure why that transit becomes worse, but it may just be that the British are more available for the war as well. But that's a little strange because I want to leave from Germany. I like the table better. Okay, definitely dragging my feet here, but let's see what my mission is. I'm not going to go into as much detail as I did before. It's going to be British Isles, but there's a little 4 there. Type 7D treats it as mine-lying right. Okay, so I'm back at the British Isles. I wonder what the... Oh, that's my success marker. And I'm all loaded up. My ship's repaired. Well, I've got new torpedoes is basically all that happened. I didn't have anything I had to repair. You can do some minor repairs, like 2 of your systems can be repaired in the 1 month for free. But if you take anything more than that, you're going to have to be refitting for longer. So I'm going to start the approach out, and this time try to remember not to go to the Bay of Biscay table because it's dangerous, and I'm not supposed to. So we'll just start that, and I'll jump in when things get kind of interesting, because to tell you the truth, me rolling a lot of dice, I just can't judge that as terribly interesting to watch. Okay, so here in the British Isles, I'm halfway through my mission, it seems, and I want to... I've just found myself a small freighter, which is escorted. It's a night attack. Shit, I'm dripping all over the place. It's so fucking hot here. Gotta switch to air conditioning at some point, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna do a night surface attack because I get a bonus to my torpedoes for that, and it's not late enough in the year, in the game, that's going to affect my escort chances. Escorts get better at detecting night surface attacks due to their radar in 41, but I'm safe now. Now, there are still some other effects to it. In the first round, there's going to be a negative modifier to the escort air attack chart. This is bad for me, isn't it? No, it looks like it's good. No, it's negative. It's the wrong kind of negative. It's positive kind of negative. So this is more likely that if they do detect me, they're going to hurt me. And I'm not allowed to go to deep diving. But I'm going to take that risk because I feel like I need to hit this. Now, I'm not allowed to use my deck guns here. I can't get that close while there's an escort in the area. So I'm just going to launch my normal 4 forward torpedoes. I don't want to use my aft tubes. And we'll process through that as we did before. I have so many torpedoes on these Type 9s that and it seems pretty rare to find a target that I can go after, that I feel fairly comfortable shooting this many torpedoes off. My goal is to get quite a bit of tonnage, and so far at 4,000, this is a 5,000 ship. I don't feel like I'm gaining the kind of tonnage that I really need. I'm picking on little fish, but that's all I got. Okay, so now, let's see where we go. Hits U1. Okay. So now I got a -1 for the torpedo. It could be second salvo torpedoes on the night surface. I hopefully won't need to do that. Alright, and these are steamers. I'm doing this at medium range so I don't get a penalty. One miss. No, it hits because of the night surface torpedo. Cool. 2, 3. How about that? I'm rolling the dice in front of you this whole time. Yeah, I mean, that's all there is to the game, really, is you make a few decisions, you roll a bunch of dice on a table. There's nothing really to see on a map, or it's very hard to cover on video very correctly or very well. So these are steams. I get to check to see if they're duds. 1, 2 of them were duds. So I got 1 hit with that torpedo. It's not my deck gun. I do 3 damage to the ship. That's probably enough to take it down. There goes a small freighter. I've got another 5,000 tons sunk. And that's good. Now I've got to check for the aircraft detection, and I have to, of course, look through all of these things to see what I got. +1 for the night surface attack? No. Oh, crap. Alright, they're coming after me. So, I'm not an undetected U-boat, so I go down to the detected, and I roll to see how badly hit I am. Now, I'm taking a night surface attack, so that's +1 there. I didn't roll a 12 on my detection. So if I roll a 12 here, the game's over. I roll an 8, that goes to a 9. That's 3 hits. For each hit, I'm going to be rolling... These are the dice that came with the game. I usually replace dice. I'll use black for the 10s. I'm going to be rolling what the damage is. 33. I get a hull hit. Now I gotta see if I'm doing this right. And I'm dripping too damn bad. So I'm gonna have to try to wipe some of this sweat off or something. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so my initial impression was, hey, you know, I had to take this offline and figure out the rules. By the way, I have no idea why I'm sweating so much. Most days it's this hot and I haven't been. Must have drunk too much tea or something. But then I think about it and say, well, that's not really the Callendale experience here. And this is a game that this is how I would learn it. So, or how I am learning it, actually. So let's go forward from that uninformed point of view and keep going with that for whatever it's worth. Okay. So, what did we get? We got a hull hit. What I wanted to look up was whether the damage marker should have already been in the box. And let's see. Okay, hull has its own little rule down here. 10.3 on page 14. Yeah, so it gets placed on the first spot. Now these are going to increase the amount of time that I'm going to have to refit. And also if I exceed test depth, there's actually a check which current hull damage can cause problems to that test. So hopefully I can get away. Okay, that was the first hit. I should have these marked here. There's got to be a little marker for that. For incoming hits. There we go. Now, geez, I don't remember what my number was because I went away. I think it was 3 hits. I could, of course, go back. Right? That sounds correct. When I look at the chart, I think I rolled a 10 naturally. So the second one is a 16. That's electronic engine 1. Okay? So now we look through our little chits and we have a bunch of these special damage markers. Now it may be damaged electric. And let's see. There we go. Okay, well we're going to have to look up the effect on that. That's not going to cause any kind of great sinking or anything. And then the final one is a 25, which is diesel engine 2. Alright, I may need to go home. And I have a little damaged diesel marker here. Let's see. Shit, I'm dripping on the rules now. Yeah, I can't get near anything. So wet. Okay, if the diesel engine becomes inoperative, I must abort the mission, but I don't think it's inoperative. I think it's just damaged. Yeah, see, here's, you know, if I get near the rolls, I have to sit like this, and I can't read from this distance with my eyes. Yeah, I'm not finding any real effect to this damage. Except that the second hit would make this inoperative, I guess. You can place a generic damage marker. See, I mean, I ruined my games by trying to play it in this heat. Well, I don't think I have any effect here. I don't know. It's damaged. That's all I can see. It doesn't appear to be inoperative, right? I mean, damage results cannot be applied. Flooding. As you can see, at least my ability to read these rules seems to be not terribly good. That's not too surprising, but they feel like I'm not being given enough information on them. Like, I don't see the damage upgrades to inoperative and stuff like that that I expect to see. I'm not seeing any indication that leads me to believe that now, I'll tell you this much, I don't mind just kind of winging it. That's how I'm used to games. It feels like, you know, a game from 1980 or 1979 or whatever, where the assumption that, you know, a chit is damaged and then becomes inoperative on the next hit. But even then, some games tended to give more information there. But here, I'm just not seeing, like under engines, I'm not seeing anything. And over on the general case, record the number of hits, roll a d6 to determine the type, put the damage marker. You can place a generic damaged. Yeah, it's just not absolutely clear to me. So, you know, the fact that this says damaged on it If it said not damaged and then like inoperative, it would make sense to me. But to me, it looks like they're supposed to take 2 hits. I'm going to take this offline and try to read a little bit more to see if I can get anything. But as of right now, I've got to say, I'm not understanding. I'm not getting from the rules a distinction between, you know, damaged, inoperative, how these change state. I get that it's damaged. I don't think I ever get that it gets to inoperative, but the rules are about inoperative. So then, you know, I'm left in this kind of, well, gee, is damaged and inoperative the same thing? Are they steps, which is what the counters would tend to indicate? What is it? And that's somewhat disturbing, there's no question. The only thing that I have as a clue here is the multiple damage results. I've looked at this a couple of times, but there's this 10.63. No other damage results are cumulative. Recurring damage for a system that's already damaged is treated as no effect. And to me, what that means is these are knocked out. They're inoperative. I don't know why the counter has both on them, just to confuse me. I don't know why the rules are not specific enough in other cases to indicate a difference between. So here they talk about inoperative, and here they talk about damage. And I can see a lot of confusion arising from this. My judgment is I've got an inoperative diesel engine and an inoperative surface engine. So now a diesel engine is inoperative in that case, so I have to abort the patrol. And I have to roll twice for checking for encounters on each travel box entered as I head home. If both diesel engines are inoperable, the boat has to be towed home if it's close enough. Otherwise, it's going to be scuttled, and that would be the end of my mission. I'd be caught. There doesn't seem to be any effect to having the electronic engines knocked out, which pisses me off. It should mean that I can't attack submerged or something. I don't see any indication of that either here in the engine section. Maybe it's hidden somewhere else, but I have no idea. So we're getting kind of a feeling that the rules were not terribly well developed here. I know GMT has this on a P500, and maybe the version there will be a little bit more polished. I see no development indication. The best we have here is a rules editor and proofreaders, but you know, that's not quite the same as the whole development process. I don't see any playtesters credited. And yeah, you know, I mean, if you don't have a developer, or if you develop the game yourself, as we saw with some Bergen games over in the Moments in History stuff, you're going to end up with some problems. And are they insurmountable? No, I think I can come up with ways to play it that won't bother me, but it is feeling a little amateurish at this point. All right, well, all that be it as it may, I've taken my hits. I've got to go home, but I still got an escort on my ass here. So the U-boat's not sunk, and I have to check for further escort detection. Now, I have a problem with escort detection. Don't I? No, I'm just slower. Okay. This may be the end of my mission, of my captain here. Okay, so to check for escort detection, we're over here. I have no penalties still. I might be able to slip away. And I am not able to slip away, so it gets to attack me some more. Now, I'm not in a night surface attack anymore, so I've already dived. Now, here's the question. If I dive and didn't have any electric engines, what's up with that? I don't know. I didn't see any rules on it. But I sure the hell wouldn't want to be aboard that thing underwater for long with diesel engines running. And we get an 8. which says I'm going to be taking 2 more hits here. One is batteries. All right, so I got to find the batteries chit. Now you don't have to actually use these chits. You could just use the generic chits on here, but that's harder to read when you cover up the little squares. So I would rather have the correct chit there. There's a lot of opportunity in this game for counter for the counter sheet to be optimized. First of all, about 1/3 of the counter sheet was blank counters. Obviously, you know, some production groups are able to make deals and print counter sheets with multiple games on one print run, or they can come to a deal with even a different design, a different publisher, and that many counters missing on a counter sheet. At least the publisher is paying and probably passing it on a little bit. You know, an extra 30 cents, 50 cents per game for those extra counters that they maybe could get some other use out of. But there's also the fact that, well, we're doubled up on these damage counters, right? We have the generic and the non-generic. And then we don't have anything to really help this. So I would only use these damage spaces if I had like little clear discs, like bingo chips or something, which I do have. It's just not with the game, but the spaces become more important in that case. So that would be the only kind of generic damage I would use. I don't think the generic damage counters were a good idea to include them in it. I think with a little bit of effort, you could cut this down to a smaller counter sheet where they could have actually made 2 print runs of the counter sheet. And therefore maybe, you know, but you never know, because sometimes counter sheets are not your limitation as to how many total copies you can publish and whatever. So that's all kind of weird. Okay, that was one hit, was the batteries. Now I would like to see what that does though. Okay, doesn't seem to be any rules on batteries either, and no indication here. So all I can guess is they do absolutely nothing. Am I missing something here? I mean, this is something I wouldn't have thought to look up, but so I guess that's just something that has to be repaired at home, and it's really not, has no effect on play. And now 62 aft torp door. Now again, there doesn't seem to be any rules on this. And that kind of disturbs me, because I would say, I bet you I can't fire my aft torpedoes now. But again, not spelled out. Is there some chart I'm missing here? Is there, damage and repair, here we go. Now, nothing in the rules leads me into this that I saw, so let's take a look. Engines. One electric engine is out. The U-boat cannot maneuver as well underwater. This gives a negative modifier on the escort attacks. I should have seen that. I'm sure that's on the charts. That's pretty good. So you can see, you know, how someone who's maybe not really up to date, you know, really willing to study all the charts and everything, goes to look into the rules and doesn't have any idea where the information they're going to find is. Is it spelled out here? Probably. It's strange that certain things are spelled out, like the engines. That doesn't appear much more than what's given in the chart. And here it does tell you to go look into that. So that's just me. No big shock there, right? Okay, so, but the diesel engines are listed here. I guess it makes sense to have a little bit of additional information there. So let's see, what does the battery do? No immediate effect starting next round of combat +1. So I'm going to have some problems with that. The aft torpedo doors, I'm not going to be able to fire torpedoes from that compartment. And what was the other thing? The batteries, the doors, the electric engine. So I've got a couple of problems here. The electric engines mean that I'm going to have, between the batteries and the electric engines means I'm going to be a +2 for the Escort Air Attack table, which is E3. I should have actually had a +1 on it this time. Well, let's see if I can get away again. I still have no penalties that are listed here. And by the way, you have them also spelled out in the charts, so that's not so bad a thing either. This is just, I guess, a game where you want to pay attention to the charts. It would be nice if I paid attention to either the rules or the charts, though, right? I'm not very good at charts, and when I read rules and realize I'm not getting the game from that, it's difficult for me to absorb the charts. I'm better at that in an opposed game than in a solo play, because usually during downtime I'll study the charts a little bit. I've learned that from other people, but it looks like I slip away. And now I've got some problems, because I'm going to have to make 2 checks per space, if I read this correctly, for possible encounters in each travel box, because it's taking me longer and I'm more obvious. Now, might I launch attack? Might I get bonus attacks out of this? Yes, I might. I guess we'll just roll up these encounters, because we're in kind of an exciting situation in the sense that we're in a lot of trouble right now. So the next chart down, I think, is a British Isles chart, and shit, I'm dripping again. I get a 5. I meet a ship without an escort. Hey, damaged though I am, I do want to come flying up there. Oh, I should have reloaded my torpedoes. I'm not sure why I have electronic torpedoes, to tell you the truth, but I'm going to use the steam ones. I'm only shooting, you know, actually, given my situation and how risky things are, I'm going to put the electric torpedoes in play. They're less likely to be used, but I think they give me a bonus. G7A torpedoes a day. This is what I've been forgetting to do. So during daytime, I'd have a penalty with these steam torpedoes. Anyway. I'm definitely going to take this attack, and let's see what I find. First of all, it is a night attack. It's an unescorted ship. I can sail up to it and fire my guns at it. I don't think I'll do that. And ship size is, ooh, I found me a tanker. I think I took care of this since the ship sunk. Okay, so we gotta find a tanker chart. There it is. Let's see if we can get the Exxon Valdez. Huh? Too many different die types in the game. 35. 7100 Davenger. T35. I shouldn't write it that way. 7500. Well, I definitely want to launch at that thing. It's a night attack. I can go to close range. Is there a reason I don't want to use the deck gun? Let me bail a little bit so I can look that roll up and also wipe some of the sweat off me. Before I go further, I found the difference between damaged and inoperable. You have the same effect on play, except I forgot I get a chance to repair this ship. So for each of these I get a chance to repair the engines. I may not be aborting here. The electric engine, I get a roll. Now I don't have the modifier, which is a good engine, good engineer or whatever, but I have a chance of fixing these. And indeed I do fix this, so it goes away. The same with the diesel engine. Now that's inoperable, and that's going to abort my mission. And it gets marked over as inoperable. That's just to tell me I don't get to fix it again. Over to the batteries. Same thing, 1 to 4, 5 or 6. Inoperable. So I've got some serious problems. And what about my doors? These are harder to fix, but I managed to get outside and bang them around a little bit and get them fixed. Okay. So now, I can do a night surface attack, and I've got some special rules. I can slide up and shoot at it with the gun. Let's see if I can find that. No chance of duds. Can't use flak targets. I can go close range without a problem because it's unescorted. If I follow extra rounds of combat, I can reload and roll on the additional round of combat table. Now that can cause me to get an escort, so I want to kill it fast if I can. So we're going to do a night surface attack, and we're going to unload everything on this sucker. What about the dual fire? Because I may want to do my aft fire. I'm going to have to find that. The only effect that I can find on that is it makes me easier to detect, which I'm not terribly worried about at this point because there's no escort. So we're going to unload 4 electric torpedoes, 2 steam torpedoes, and our deck gun's going to fire. You know, I haven't been checking to see the escort quality. I may do that at some point in the game. It's an optional rule, and I've just been not remembering it. Okay, so I've got a number of rolls to make. I'm going to take these offline because there's nothing too exciting to happen here. But let's take a look at the deck gun. It looks like it's going to be the same table. I'm going to be at close range. My deck gun is... It's got a modifier on it in some cases. Shit. Oh. All generic. I remember there being a modifier to the deck gun firing, and I can't fire it. Ah, here it is. It's a modifier to the damage. So I don't know what kind of deck gun I have. I have a 10.5 centimeter deck gun, which is not 105 millimeters, is it? Sounds like it is. You know what? I'm going to have to look up the rules on that to see if those are two different things or with the same notation, because in some cases things are given different notations, and that actually indicates slight differences in the gun even if the bore size is the same. To be honest, I can't be arsed. I remember a rule like that, but it had to do with the 88s. There were 88 millimeter flak guns on this, on some of the ships. Now these have 2 centimeter and 3.7 centimeter flak, but there were 88s on one of them, but you couldn't use them against target ships was the specification. I'm assuming 10.5 centimeters and 105 millimeters works out to be the same, because I do not remember a special statement about that. Okay, so I'm gonna roll my flak gun first, and I think or my deck gun first, and I think I only just get to fire 1 ammo with it. So I only have 1 gun, and I'll mark that off by getting rid of an ammo marker. And that works just the same. I got a hit, And now I'll roll the damage for that just to see. The deck gun uses its own damage table. A -1's actually a good thing. It gets me 2 damage on the ship. I don't know when a tanker goes. How big? This is it's got 1 more hit. I'm sure I'm going to get that. Well, let's look, because we've got some electronic torpedoes here. It's Night Surface Torpedo. That's going to give me a -1. And I'm at close range, so those electronic torpedoes don't hurt me. So I get a hit with at least one of them. Let's check to see. Let's do the damage one at a time, because if I get one hit, I've sunk them. Let's check duds. These are more likely to be duds. It is a dud. Another. Well, let's go with one of the steam ones, because essentially I've got the same chance. 7, that's a hit. It's not a dud, and I think it's guaranteed to do a point of damage. And it does. So I have sunk that tanker, and I did it without any chance of attracting any kind of escort. So I got more success on this trip. That was, I think, the first encounter roll in this space, so I have another one. Let me mark things up and I'll come back. Alright, this is a second roll in the British Isles, I guess. And I get a 7, which is safe over here. So now I'm in the transit box. These are much harder to hit. Close. Not close. And now I'm not going to be in the Bay of Biscay box this time. I'm going to be in the transit box. Oh crap. I found an aircraft. Aircraft encounter resolution and flak attack. Ruh-roh. Well, we're going to have to find that. Proceed to aircraft encounter resolution and flak attack. Maybe it's on this table. It is. No. Let's see. My crew is normal. This is a Type 9 U-boat, so I get a -1. That's going to make it harder to escape. It's one of the disadvantages of the Type 9. But I get a +1 because there's less effective air power. So I roll a die, and I hope to get a 6. I do not. So I have 1 attack, E3, on the escort air attack chart. +1 crew injury. Wonder what that means. I think I take an automatic crew injury. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to have to read this section because it's significantly a little longer than I want to take a look at online on the camera. Okay, so yes indeed, I get a quick roll on the crew injury table. And again, the game could be over here. It's my second officer, second watch officer, and he's got a light wound. Now I've got a little light wound marker to him. Unlike the damage markers, I can't see who I've got here. There's no option for wound markers for each character, which I think would actually have made more sense for the same reason that I'm using the markers for the particular objects there. Especially since there's all those blank counters, right? They could come up with a set of these. Unfortunately, there's 3 different statuses, so it wouldn't just be 2 counters that could be made to handle it. So I think that's why that decision was made not to do it, although there are a lot of blanks, which they just kind of suggest, hey, use these as... Okay, so there's no effect to this guy being injured because he's not in charge of the ship. If I run down to the second watch officer, then I have to worry. If he ends up in command of the ship, I have to worry about the effects of this light wound. But he doesn't really hurt me. He will have to roll recovery, though, I think. All right, now I roll on the escort air chart. This is the only place where I think there's an ordering to the whole thing. And first we do the attack. I've got damaged batteries. That's +1. Electric engine is not damaged anymore. And an air attack. So I'm at a total of +3 here for this attack. That could easily end the game. 8, 11. I'm going to be taking 4 incoming hits. This is not good. I've got my damage chart. I've got to roll up. 54. Flooding ×2. Yeah, we'll look these up in a moment. I got to find my flooding marker. There's 2 hull and damage and flooding markers. I guess that's so you can track 2 different ships at the same time so that 2 people can have a sheet on the board. Unfortunately, they're supposed to each have the same type of sub, so that doesn't really work terribly well. I don't know what's going to happen with flooding, but eventually it forces me to stay on the surface, which would be very bad if I'm being attacked by airplanes. Or ships, for that matter. So that's one of them. Second, more flooding. More flooding. And one last shot. Flooding ×2. I'm in a lot of trouble there, but we'll see. Okay, well, first thing we want to do is we want to look here and see if anything's discussed about flooding. Place or advance it in the box when all boxes are flooded. U-boat must blow ballast and surface or be sunk. And then I have a chance for additional flooding. Advance the marker if the engineer fails to stop flooding. When combat is concluded, remove the flooding marker. Okay, so I still have my flak attacks before this happens, but I could end up getting this worse once it starts flooding. And yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty close to being in too much trouble as it is. Now I get my flak attack against the airplane, and I'm a type 9. If no flak gun's damaged, I get a -1 to the table. That'll help me. And that's it. I roll a total of 4. I have damaged the airplane. Now, there's actually markers for this stuff. I don't know if I really need it. I don't think there's something for damage for this. I don't see it. Okay, so I have damaged the airplane. What does that mean? Any second attack still occurs, however the encounter will end after that, which means I may still escape. This was, I think, my first roll on the final transit box, so I have a chance of still getting caught. But even if he floods me completely, he's going to break off his attack. Now, after the second round, I would normally be able to dive away from him anyhow. So that's not really a big deal anyhow, unless I'm stuck on the surface. So it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of difference. But let's roll his next attack. +3 it looks like again. 8, 11. He's going to get 4 more hits on me. Good God. Oops. Let's move some of these up so that I don't. 34. Another crew injury. And we flip over here. All right, Abwehr agent. I don't have to deal with that. I don't have one on board, so he's got no chance of getting hurt. Let's roll a second one. 23, diesel engine 1. I gotta look for another diesel engine, and that has a chance of being repaired. Third, 16, electric engine 1. Huh, I took that marker off, and I guess I just put it back in here. And finally, 34, which is another crew injury. That's a 9. Crew. Alright, I took a hit on my crew itself. Now, somewhere or another, there's a crew markers up here, and I see how badly injured these are. These are just my generic crew. One of them has a light wound on him. Right. Alright, the plane goes away, but I do have another roll on the encounters, if I can find the table for that. It's over here. And this is really horrible to do on camera. I don't know how much better it would be not on camera, but we make it home. I got some repairs I was supposed to make before we get home. The reason I have to make these repairs is because this might affect how long I'm out at sea. So I've got an electric engine to repair. These get repaired on a 1 through 4, and a diesel engine to repair, and they're both fixed. If I hadn't fixed the diesel engine, I would have had to be towed home, which could have caused further problems, actually. All right, I'm gonna take a break because now I gotta take care of the between missions costs, and it's gonna be more complicated this time. Okay, let's push our way through the refit stage. I'm in port now. Flooding is immediately fixed. There's no problem with that. I don't know if that even had to make it to refit. I think I can bilge the thing out without that. The hull hits, though, the first 3 boxes say I'm going to take an extra month. So now I'm at 2 months of repair. I get 2 of these repaired for free. So those are not an issue. So I'm going to be at 2 months of refit here. And now let's see what else. I get my ammo back, and I'll be charging up my torpedoes. I may choose a different mix this next time. I got my injured crew though, and this is an issue. I do not have serious wounds, so they're able to be fixed without any significant effect. So that clears up. This counts as a successful mission. I'm up to only 12,500 tons. It takes 100,000 tons to get any kind of recognition for it. I'm not... Oh, I am at the end of a year. So I have a possibility of promotion here. After the oh no, it's after the 12th month of service. No, so I won't be eligible for a promotion until September. Okay, no help there. If I get a 3rd successful mission, then I have a chance at getting a crew benefit of some sort or another, which would be helpful. And I don't think there's any, no. I took a bath to cool off, and now I'm dripping there too. Damn beard. Alright. Yeah, I should be playing with this variable escort quality. It generally produces trained, and the same thing with the aircraft quality. Unfortunately, those charts, the optional charts for that, they don't show up in the player aids that I know of. Which means it's just intrinsically harder to deal with them. What would be cool is if somebody made an optional playwright, maybe somebody has, with all those kind of rules on them. I'm used to the optional rules having some kind of additional aid to help you hit those factors. All right, well, I guess I'm going to send this one up. I'm going to mark it down as November of 39 because that's when the actual mission ended, even though, you know, we're in January of 40. Seems like a good point to cut the vid.